Welcome to The New Next, a podcast that addresses current events and how they will impact the future. Co-hosted by the inquisitive public speaking champion, Mike McVeigh, and energy, economics, and technology expert, Matt Jensen. Join us as we explore all things energy, economic, tech, and political, and how they will affect our future. Okay, get a little break. All right. So, Matt, I've got some potentially good news depending on how you dissect this.
What's the news?
Don't you want to know what that news is? The news is that the European Union agrees to cut gas usage by 15%. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's not great news if you're Nordstream.
No, that's because Russia has them by the cojones. Yeah. Yeah, so we talked about recently in a recent episode about how Nordstream was going offline for basically repair and maintenance. And previously, before that, it was about 50% capacity. So they had to get a turbine replaced, and that was getting fixed in Canada. And then there was a whole drama over whether or not Canada would release it because of Western sanctions. But through careful negotiation from the Germans, because they wouldn't get their gas, that thing got sent out pretty quickly. So this is just kind of a interesting situation because since it's gone back online, it's basically operating at about 50% of what it was operating at before, which wasn't that great. And, so when you don't have access to the natural gas that you need to heat your homes and cool your homes and run your hot water heaters and stuff, and for industrial purposes, then you have to start cutting. So Germany, being super reliant on natural gas from Russia, asked the rest of the EU countries to cut back on it, which I think had some interesting responses from some people. I think it was like a foreign minister from Spain that was trolling them over comments that Germany made in the great financial crisis that was basically that they were being irresponsible for consuming more energy than Spain was, and their stuff, and the pigs, as they were called, Portugal, Italy, Greece, back in the financial crisis had run up all his debt, and Germany at the time was basically the big holdout for giving them money at the time, saying that they were acting irresponsibly, and the German taxpayers didn't feel comfortable paying for financially irresponsible countries. So, how the tables have turned 10 years later. But yeah, it's just a really interesting time. So there's really kind of like this divergence between East and West, and the Western countries are still really reliant on what the Eastern countries have to produce, namely Russia, for both minerals and hydrocarbons.
Right.
We talk a lot about this with the energy transition too, but also stuff like fertilizers, food, wheat, stuff like that is just kind of, we're in a good spot because we're in the United States. We're in a lot better position than a lot of people, but these alliances are churning. You see Russia. Yeah.
I was going to say the Russia with Iran.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I need to pull out my copy of Command and Conquer.
Yeah. So Russia's investing money to help Iran's basically build up their domestic oil and gas production industry. Yeah, exactly.
That's so kind of them.
It's just it's an interesting time. You know, Russia may only be a $1.8 trillion economy, but they have their, I think about the 50% of their GDP is related to minerals, kind of base commodities and oil and gas. So it's just really us as Western countries, you know, a general group like European Union and North American countries and stuff are very reliant on the products that we've had. You know, we've seen probably the biggest effect here in the U.S. is sending more natural gas overseas to Europe and seeing our natural gas prices go up, but also sanctions related to fertilizer, not buying that from Russia anymore and seeing prices for like potassium and nitrogen-based fertilizers grow up dramatically, really kind of shifting a lot of the economics that farmers have in the U.S. So it's, you know, these are sanctions that we put in ourselves, and Russia's basically living high off the hog. It's basically boom time now, but it's kind of a struggle for the West. So
right.
We'll see how this plays out, but I thought it was a little funny to see Spain, Italy, Portugal, and Greece basically trolling Germany a little bit after that.
If you would like to learn more about the New Next podcast, find us at thenewnextpodcast.com, where you can suggest a topic you would like for us to cover. If you enjoyed what you heard, share the podcast, tell a friend about it, or rate us with 5 stars.